If there is any part of yourself that you understand really, really well, and you've come to understand because first it has taken you many years, because we are complicated and subtle animals, and things about us, especially the important things, even if you've had a traumatic experience, even if you're falling in love and it's scaring the hell out of you, I mean, these are to some extent flowers inside you. And Baba Taher says, listen, it has taken you a long time to figure out certain parts of yourself. That's really, really good. If you express, if you bring out what lives inside you and reveal them to others, there's a good chance they will never understand what you're talking about and what you've gone through. You know, they will try to correct you, they will try to give advice to you, and you don't really need any of that. You were just trying to kind of share your insights with another human being, but it's taken in all the wrong ways. And then they'll take your story, they'll tell it to their friends in the form of a gossip. So if there are things about yourself that you have figured out, keep it to yourself. This poem really can be just condensed, what you have in one of the Gospels. You know, that don't give that which is holy unto dogs, or pigs, or swines. You know, if you've really worked hard to create something sacred, make sure to give it to the right people who will honor it, trust it, safeguard it. If Nietzsche is right that one should never pay attention to the philosophy but the philosopher, this poem to some extent may be a reflection of Baba Taher himself. That maybe sometimes he goes to the mosque or some gathering and reads his poems to people, where he has sat and tried to figure out how can I express the longing that live inside me in language. And so people applaud him, and he says, I don't want people to clap for me. I'm trying to tell them that they live in a desert. You know, Baba Taher has a nickname. It's Baba Taher Orion. Orion means naked. There is a movie, Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. It's the life story of Saint Francis of Assisi. And if you don't know his story, at least from what the movie suggests, you know, he goes to some kind of a war, and he has an experience. He comes back, he's sickly, he goes into a coma for some days. His parents are really worried. His father is in the textile business, they're quite well off. And when he gains consciousness, he behaves a little weird, and which worries his mom greatly. You know, the saying that first seek the kingdom of God and everything else shall be given to you. It's so true. You know, it's kind of like, instead of drinking salt water, instead of drinking Coke or Pepsi or Sunkist, just drink water. Once you drink ice cold water, your thirst will just go away. You will not want to drink Coke or Sprite or any of that stuff. So whatever he experienced, Saint Francis, in some ways I suppose he had the kingdom of God within. You know, he kind of realized it, he sought it, he found it. And then one day he went to the basement of his father's business and realized, saw all these poor people and worn out people just kind of wasting away, making his father rich. And so he goes to his father's shop and throws down from the balcony all these expensive, beautiful fabrics. And his father is just upset, you know, grabs him by the neck and takes him to the bishop of the town. And, you know, he says to this clergy that my son is destroying my business, he's just giving away my money. And Saint Francis looks at the bishop and looks at the father and takes off his clothes, his jacket, and then his shirt, and then his pants, and then his underwear, and he's just completely naked. It's kind of like if you read the book of Job, naked we have come and naked we go. You know, God gives you everything, and eventually God takes everything away from you. And from that point on, you know, Saint Francis looks at his father and says, I don't want the clothes you have given me, because those clothes symbolize being covered by the world. And I don't want your name, the name you have given me, You're a man made of flesh and bones. There is no spirit inside you. I don't want the name that you have given me to defile the spirit that lives inside me. I'm going to give your name back to you. I want to be called a beggar. And when you're a beggar, you're naked. You possess nothing. You own nothing. You mean nothing. The only person who's able to kind of dress you is God. And that's why he was called Baba Taher or Yan. You know, there is a scene in one of the Gospels where Judas goes to Jesus and says, and this is when, you know, Jesus has entered Jerusalem on a donkey, goes to the temple. The head of the Sadducees go to him. His name is Zerah. And Jesus just offends him. And then later on, Judas says, you know, he has one of the best minds in the Jewish community. Judas says to Jesus, and Jesus looks at him and says, open your heart, Judas, not your mind. Open your heart. And for that to happen, you know, you really have to be naked. You know, you can't cover up your heart by all the stuff that you think you know or assume to know. Baba Taher or Yan, almost 100 of his poems, and they are all so heart-wrenching and so sorrowful, which is a reflection of really what lives inside him. And he doesn't care to expose himself. You know, it's like one of his poems says, Bite ya Rab gustan gul maruya agar ruye ruya kasi hargiz nabuya. That, you know, there is this garden inside me. But if the gardener is not God, I don't want any flowers to grow. I want to write because God inspires me. I want to speak because God inspires me. I want to play the cello because God inspires me. I just want God to walk in this garden and just plant things and nourish them. Agar ruya kasi hargiz nabuya. That just in case there is a flower and that flower is not created by God, I hope there will never be anyone to see it. And if there is someone, I hope no one ever smells it, because it's not a flower made by God. And if it's not a flower made by God, who cares about the fragrance? It comes and it goes.